We're just labbing through various of different heights of guard builds, from the 6'1s, the 6'2s, the 6'3s, even the 6'4 guards in NBA 2K27. I managed to end up finding 3 heights that I like. We first was messing around with the 6'4. As you're gonna see on the screen, this is gonna be a nice little blueprint, little draft build, as it's gonna be a point guard, 6'4, 200 pounds with a 6'9 wingspan. But we do have 2 more versions of this build, which we'll end up using that 2KHQ app to help us end up developing those 2 builds. So by the time you're watching this, the app should be out, so you can be able to make your builds. But I was playing with Ja Morant inside of Rucker Park, and I was having a lot of fun. Now, when it comes to the dunking, the dribbling, his movement was crazy. Like, when I tell you his slashing ability was top notch, especially when I end up getting takeover and getting that airspace takeover ability, he could not miss. Now, we end up tweaking a few things, making a build of a Ja Morant S-type build. Now, with the layup, we have an 87 just to end up getting all the layup packages in the game. I think Ja Morant layup package only requires an 86, but with the driving dunk, we made sure to go to a 93 so we can get pro contact dunks off 1 and 2, gold posterizer and things like that, so we can get some crazy contact dunks. Now, when it comes to the actual badge count, we could have changed a few things, because I was noticing my badge tokens as I was moving certain things, and then once I started to understand how important the badge tokens was versus just having my attribute to get the badge level, the badge token is way more. Now, it might be sometimes you might have to be 1 more or 1 short just to end up getting enough for a badge token. Now, we're gonna get into it, because as I noticed when I was going to my shooting and we was messing around with the attributes, we went for the 83 3-pointer and 92 mid-range to get mostly some gold and silver shooting badges. But if you swap out the mid-range attributes for the 3-point attributes, I end up getting 17 shooting badge tokens versus what I had before with the 83, which requires for the badges, where I end up getting 16 badge tokens. Now, that's going to be very important when you build these builds, because certain builds might have to be a little bit tweaked more than it was supposed to be just to end up getting the tokens that you need to be able to equip the badges. And that's going to be a big problem for a lot of people that don't understand the badge system, that the badge tokens are going to be very important, because that's going to help you equip the badges. Just because you get to the rating doesn't mean you get the badge at that rating. You still have to equip the badge, no matter if it's 2 badge points, 3 badge points, or even 5 badge points based on what the badge is in that category. Now, with the Ja Morant build, we got the 93 driving dunk, we got an 87 layup, which I get a good amount of gold and silver badges. But when it comes to shooting, I have a lot of gold and silver shooting badges as well. But when it comes to my playmaking for this build, it was a few things that I wanted to tweak between, because I was looking at the badge tokens, but also I was looking at requirements that I needed. Now, if I would have went up 1 for my ball handle, I would have got an extra token, which would give me 15, and 15 is a cool little threshold, especially if you want to build like a 3-level score. Having around 15 to 16 tokens in almost every category, from finishing, playmaking, and shooting, it comes in handy, especially for a build like this, or even a slightly taller build than this. But this build does get a 90 ball control, which I get handles for days on go, unpluckable on silver, ankle assassin on silver, and if I put 2 cap breakers here, I'll be able to get unpluckable on gold and some more dribble moves. But I was just trying this out as a tester build. Then for the speed with ball, 86, you get lightning launches on gold and pace on silver. But if you don't know, pace at gold is at 88, and then lightning launches on Hall of Fame is at 91, and pace on Hall of Fame is at 93, especially if you want to be on those builds that be super lightning quick. But now when it comes to the playmaking as like passing, I really go between like a 70, 77, 80, and then 85, and like around those thresholds. But also, it doesn't matter if you get exactly on there. Sometimes you might have to go above those thresholds just to get a badge token. I might just stop at 77 to get dimer and break starter on silver, but if I went to 78, I could have got an extra badge token, which could have helped me end up getting to like 15 to 16 on my playmaking for badge tokens. Now, as of defense, we were just testing that out for the defense. I went 82 perimeter, and I went 60 steals, 68 blocks. Since this is the build that can end up getting high flight and higher on bronze, we went with this, and I decided to end up messing around with it. And you see my badge tokens is not that high. I only got 5 badge tokens, so I'll only be able to get like maybe 2 badges unlocked with those badge tokens, 1 silver and 1 bronze, and it's going to be kind of tough trying to finesse on defense with 1 silver badge and 1 bronze badge. Now, if you're someone that thinking, oh, I could put cap breakers right there to get badge tokens, that's not how it works. If it worked like that, a lot of people would have been already making crazy demigod builds that it would, like, we would get our tokens and then we end up putting cap breakers right there just to get it back. You will see people with 20 plus actual badge tokens in almost every category just to mess around with the system. And throughout the year, you can earn badge badge tokens, and also you do get badge tokens back as you fuse badges through the synergy system for these builds. Now, as of the build, you're going to be a 6'4", 6'3", or 6'2". It's going to end up giving you the name, the off the bounce killer, one of the deadliest ones off the bounce. You got to watch out because he might end up dunking on your head. But when it comes to the cap breakers for this build, I know I would end up remaking this and making some changes, especially with driving dunk, so I can use cap breakers to get it all the way to a 93. But how important tokens is, I would just keep it as it is and just tweak a few things that would help me get tokens without me having to use cap breakers the way we end up using cap breakers last year. Now that I just showed you that's a quick draft of this build, we're going to end up getting to the 6'3" and the 6'2". Now with the 6'3", we end up developing this one inside the 2K HQ app, and with messing around with a few attributes and things like that, you know, the smaller you are, the more attributes you're going to end up getting. The build is a off the bounce killer as well, but it has similar aspects of what the original build did, and we took a few things and tweaked it and made it way better. Now this build does have an 86 layup, it has an 80 close shot with a 93 driving dunk. I did have to put up my standing dunk, it did have to push up. I didn't want to, but if you want to get those extra tokens, it helps. But we have a 90 mid-range, a 83 three-pointer, and then changing a few things with 92 ball control, 86 speed with ball, and we have a 77 steal and an 82 perimeter on this build. Now when it's doing those minor changes, you will see that this time I'm going to have 15 on my finishing for this build, and for my shooting I'm going to end up having around 16 versus when I first started my finishing only had 14, now it has 15. And then when it comes to shooting throws like that, I did drop down my mid-range too, because I'm gonna use specialization to use 2 cap breakers there. But with me saving those 2 attributes, it ended up helping me open up the build a little bit more. Now I didn't get a badge token for, or drop a badge token with dropping those 2 attributes down just to 90, because even when I did that, it helped me on defense to end up getting a 77 steal and getting an 82 perimeter, which this build had 15, 16, 15, 9, and 9 on our physicals. Now this is a little bit better. Now with being 6'3", we got better stats and slightly better badge tokens. But when it comes to the cap breakers are literally going to be perfect of how you set this up, because we end up getting 96 driving up in this build. We're using 1 cap breaker, 2 cap breakers on our physicals to get our vertical, to get elite contact dunks off 2. We could put 2 cap breakers on our mid-range to get us that 92 mid-range, so we could be able to get that Deadeye and Smooth Operator badge both on gold, which that end up coming up to around like 5 cap breakers. I think 5 or 6 cap breakers just for those few categories. Now when it comes to the playmaking and defense, as you notice, we do have a 70 pass accuracy again. I would love to get this to at least a 77, and with 3 cap breakers you would end up getting this to a 79, and then with a few cap breakers on ball handle, if you want to do that you can. But as of speed with ball, I'll put a few cap breakers on my speed with ball so I can get pace on goal, or we can end up going to 91. But make sure you pay attention to the defensive cap breakers. Now the defensive cap breakers, we can go for an 82 all the way to a 93 perimeter, and we can go from a 77 steal all the way to a 93 steal, which will end up helping you get gold and silver defensive badges, or like perimeter of challenger, and then you end up get interceptor on gold and glove on gold based on how you end up setting this up. Now if you got the NBA 2K HQ app, you can end up using this QR code right here. You can use the QR code, it will literally download my build and put it in an app, and you can tweak it for yourself, and you don't have to go hand by hand to end up going through the attributes and make the changes that you want. Now that I just showed you the 6'3" version of that build, I'm gonna end up showing you the 6'2" version of the Ja Morant build. And I feel like as I mess around with this 6'2" version, you'll be very shocked, because we have a 93 driving dunk, a 91 layup, which we end up getting layup mixer on gold, posterizer on gold. But man, when I tell you the defense on this build is even more crazy than what we had before, you'll be like, how did we get all these? I'm telling you, the smaller you go for the build, the more attributes you're gonna get, because we still have a 91 mid-range, we have an 83 three-pointer, and you'll be like, okay, something has to be missing. And we even got more for our pass accuracy versus the first build. Now we end up gaining a lot more versus being a 6'4", a 6'3". Now we're on this 6'2" that can get contact dunks, high layup, also is literally a monster of being a slasher for a small guard. And for this build, you will notice the badge tokens are going to be higher than what it was for the last 2, but you notice I have a 91 layup, which 91 layup does not get you anything. 90 gets you layup mixer on gold, but me going to a 91 and going to my close shot of 79, I managed to get 1 token more than a 6'3" and 2 tokens more than the 6'4". Now when it comes to the shooting, we have 16 as well, and y'all notice that's been the baseline for our actual tokens for this type of build. Having a high midi, low three-pointer, hey, that's been somewhat the baseline, having around 16 like shooting tokens, and you can get a good amount of badges with that. Now when it comes to playmaking, we was straddling around 13, 14, and 15 like threshold for badge tokens, and we had only a 70 pass accuracy. Now with this one we have a 75, which you can throw one cap breaker on here to get it to 77, and then another two maybe get it to 80. But we do got the main things that we want. We have a 92 ball control to unlock the dribble moves, gold badges, and we also have an 86 wheel ball, which you can use 2 more cap breakers to get pace on gold with lane launches on gold. But when it comes to the defense is way better than what it was last build. We have an 82 perimeter steal, but now we have an 83 steal. We're going up and up on this steal, if you notice, as we're going to end up having Challenger on silver, we're gonna have glove on silver and interceptor on silver on this build versus what we had before. And for the badge count, we having 16, 16, 16, 10, and 9 badge tokens when it comes to physicals on this build. Now we're gonna gain a good amount versus what we had. As of optimizing the build in the future, we might be able to boost these up maybe 1 or 2 based on the category, but we did manage to optimize it that you end up getting more tokens, especially with a smaller height. But when you look at the build, you have a 91 layup at 93 driving dunk, and then when it comes to the mid-range, all you gotta do is put 1 cap burger on your mid-range to get the 92, so you can be able to get smooth operator on gold, but since you got Deadeye on gold already. And then for the defense and playmaking, as you see, for playmaking I could put 1 cap burger there to get a 77, and this can go all the way to a 85 pass accuracy. Now when it comes to the defense, you're gonna see I can get a 91 perimeter and a 95 steal. Now with a few cap burgers, you don't have to go all the way to 95. You could end up stopping at 90 or even 94, and you will be a-okay. But for perimeter, if you want to push it up a notch, push it up to the 86 to get ankle braces on silver, you can, but you end up putting 2 cap burgers there. And so far with breaking down these builds with 6'4", 6'3", and a 6'2", I'm liking a 6'2" and 6'3" John Morant build more than a 6'4". It's just based on if you want to be bigger versus being that smaller build. Just know with being that bigger build, you're going to have less badge tokens, which is going to be very important in NBA 2K27, especially with having that synergy system and with using that fuse. Now if you want to end up having this build until, make sure you scan your QR code so you can end up getting this, so it can pop up in your 2K HQ app and you can end up tweaking it to your liking. Now in the comment section, I need to know from y'all guys down below, which build did you like the most? Did you like the 6'4", the 6'3", or the 6'2"? But if you made it this far and you haven't yet, make sure y'all boys drop a like on the video. That's all I really ask. Also subscribe if you haven't yet, and don't forget to check out the 2 videos on the screen, man.